What's going on, NFL fans? Today I'm breaking down the 2024 mock draft for one of the most interesting teams in this draft, the Minnesota Vikings. They traded it with the Texans to get pick 23, so now they have 11 and 23. What do? Do they stand pat and just see how the board kind of plays out, or do they offer up a trade? I think a trade might be the most likely scenario. See if they can go from 11 up to that 3 or possibly 5. All right, let's break down the Minnesota Vikings 2024 NFL mock draft and see who the Vikings are going to draft this year. What's going on, Vikings fans? Here we are, mock draft 2024. I don't really think the Commanders or the Bears are going to trade away this pick. So we needed to see how the board fell. Caleb Williams goes to the Bears. Drake May goes to the Commanders. Now, the Cardinals at 4 are probably going to take a wide receiver or maybe even an offensive lineman like Joe Alt, so I'm not worried about that pick. They're not going quarterback at 4. The Patriots could go one of the big-time wide receivers or pick a quarterback. Trading up with the Patriots is a very real possibility, but it's going to cost us a lot more draft capital. Like probably a number 1 this year, a number 1 next year, and probably a number 2 next year, and some other pick swaps probably. So I don't think trading up with the Patriots is the best move. Let's see where they go. Maybe we'll get lucky and they'll draft a wide receiver. They did. They absolutely did. So this is great. This is best case scenario for Vikings fans. If I'm a Vikings fan and this board plays out, I'm trading up with the Chargers and getting myself a quarterback. All right, Vikings fans, if you look on the screen, here's the trade that I have proposed. We're pretty much swapping 11 and 23 and a first rounder next year for 5 and 37 and 69 this year. And we're also getting a second rounder back next year. This is actually a pretty fair trade if you do the math on the draft calculator. So we're going to force this trade, and we're going to be on the clock after the Cardinals pick. All right, Vikings fans, we're up at number 5. Jaden Daniels or J.J. McCarthy. It's a no-brainer. Jaden Daniels, in my opinion, is a better quarterback than Drake May. And I think he has a higher ceiling than both May and Caleb Williams. The dude's a stud. Watch his tape. He's unbelievable. No doubt about it. We're going Jaden Daniels, the number 5 pick for the Minnesota Vikings. They're adding their quarterback. Peace out, Kirk Cousins. When I was going through the Vikings roster, one position that I think we need to upgrade is cornerback, right? So we have Evans and Murphy right now penciled in at the outside. Murphy Jr. was 87 out of 127 and Evans 99 out of 127. We need an upgrade at the cornerback position, and I love Kamari Lassiter. He's a really solid player, man. 87 coverage grade, run defense grade of 70, but man coverage 81.5. That's among the top in the class. When I'm looking and analyzing cornerbacks, playing man-to-man is far superior in importance than being able to play in zone. You can teach these guys how to play in zone and attack in zone in your scheme. But having that physical ability to play man-to-man is so important. And top of the class with the 81.5 grade, super good. 38.5% completion percentage against, top of the class. Coverage grade, top of the class. It's unbelievable, man. It's crazy. He's really, really good. I think adding at this position, a premier position this early in the draft, Kamari Lassiter, the Georgia Bulldog, is going to the Vikings with their second round pick. The Vikings are up again, round 3, pick 5, and we really need some interior offensive line help, both at center and the guard positions. I'm picking the best guard left on the board. Christian Mahogany is super good, but he has some injury history, didn't play at all in 2022. The center, Cedric Van Pran, is a very good player, but I think he might be there later in the draft. Mason McCormick, the guard from South Dakota State, has been an absolute stud. He's played over 830 snaps every single year in college. And the dude, with almost 3,000 snaps played, has only given up 2 sacks in his entire collegiate career. He's a really good player. 90 run block grade, 85 pass block grade, 6'5", 315. He's a monster. Mason McCormick is probably a day 1 starter for the Vikings. He's coming to Minnesota in the 3rd round, pick 6. When I was scouting offensive linemen this year, this guy really stood out to me on tape. His name's Cooper Beebe from Kansas State. Over an 80 grade all 3 years in college, played over 900 snaps the last 2 years. The Minnesota Vikings need a ton of help. I know we already drafted an offensive lineman, but when you're drafting in the 4th and 5th rounds, you want to find the best players available. And Cooper Beebe is that guy for me, dude. He's only given up 2 sacks in his whole collegiate career. He's played over 900 snaps the last 2 years. 2 sacks given up in the last 2 years in college. 79 against the run, 90 against the pass. I mean, look at the grades. This guy is a stud. The guard position for the Vikings is absolute trash, so I'm bringing in Cooper Beebe to join that room, and he could also potentially be a day 1 starter for the Vikings. There's some other guys I like, but I think they'll be there. But if people are drafting smart, Cooper Beebe is not going to be there. The Vikings are up again in the 4th round, and I want to add some depth to the running back room. It's pretty solid. I give it like a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10 in my ratings, with Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler, but bringing in Audric Estime, this dude is a monster. 209 attempts, 1,341 yards. He averaged 6.4 yards per carry. Elusiveness rating, 126.5. To fall to this position, 5'11", 227, this dude's a monster. I love bringing him into this offense. We're adding a good running back. Man, this Vikings offense is going to be super good next year and a lot of fun to watch. Audric Estime is going to the Vikings, everybody. The Vikings are up again in the 4th round, pick 29, towards the end of round 4. The guy I'm looking at for the Minnesota Vikings here is McKinley Jackson, the interior defensive lineman, 6'2", 325. He's got the size that we like. James's game is all about quick penetration, which stems from fast first step and arm over move. The guy's really talented, solid grades. And he's played against big schools, Miami, Alabama, Ole Miss, LSU. Had a killer game against LSU. And he's a very good player. And pretty much you're drafting at the end of the 4th round. And this guy could really bring some depth to that defensive line room. I like McKinley Jackson for the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings have 2 picks in the 7th round. And these guys want to be players that can contribute on special teams and maybe work into a rotational role for your team. And that's why I love Dallas Gant, the linebacker from Toledo. Not a huge school, but they had a really good defense. Quinyon Mitchell played there. He's probably going to go in the top 10 at the quarterback position. Solid run defense grade, 87.2. Not awesome rushing the passer, but he's also good in coverage. So he has some skills that can translate to this 3-4 defense that the Vikings run. I like Gant in that spot. Here we are, guys, the last pick of the draft for the Minnesota Vikings. I want to add a little depth to that center position. Garrett Bradbury's there now, 23 out of 36 ranking by PFF. He's an okay player, but we can always add some depth there. Let's add the best center left on the board. Dylan McMahon is heading to the Vikings. Boom! And that's it, folks. All right, Vikings fans, here are the results for our 2024 mock draft. We traded up to get Jaden Daniels, who fell to us at 5. We got Lassiter, the cornerback, got us an A grade. Mason McCormick and Cooper Beebe, 2 big positions in need. They can give us terrible grades all they want, but they're the best guards available at those spots. And the guard position for the Vikings is absolute trash. And then we brought in one of the best running backs in this draft class, Audric Estime from Notre Dame. He averaged over 6.4 yards per carry this year. McKinley Jackson, the interior defensive lineman, B+. Linebacker, Dallas Gant. He's going to be a great special teams guy. And then we brought in the center, Dylan McMahon, to compete for a position of need for the Vikings. So we really addressed interior offensive line. We went and got our quarterback. We got a really good running back. And then we added a really solid corner, one of the top 5 corners, top 7 corners in the draft. I love this draft for the Vikings. Let me know in the comments below. Are you going to trade up to get a quarterback? Do you guys want the Vikings to trade up? Or do you want to wait till like 11, pick at 23 and have 2 first-round picks? Let me know in the comments below. A lot of people think the Vikings might wait and draft J.J. McCarthy. We'll see what happens. I'd much rather have Jaden Daniels than J.J. McCarthy. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace!